G'day guys, hope everyone's doing well. It's time for another roster update. It's March 1, 2024, part 3 roster update. Going to compare it back to part 2 that was done in November when we had to submit to the NRL a minimum of 24 players. And now March 1 has come around and we had to submit a minimum of 29. I think it was 29, it may have been 28, but we submitted 30. Which most clubs have done, either 29 or 30, I think. So we're going to make comparisons and what's occurred over the last 3 months, going back to November 1. So, looking at what happened before Christmas, not too much, but there was a couple of movements. Ray Fatala-Mariner left the club and signed with the Dragons, which did free up a spot. So it's a good opportunity for Ray, I think. I think with everything that happened last year around his club captaincy and, the cultural issues, and I won't go too much into, but it sort of ended a bit sour, but I look back on Ray's time with the club fondly. He was very well liked amongst the fans, and fans will never forget that. He was plagued by injury the last few years, and I think he just needs a fresh start, and I think it's a good move. So good luck to Ray. On to Zach Montgomery. He also left the club before Christmas. He's gone back to the coast. I think he's taking a break from footy. Footy's not everything, and I don't know exactly the reasons why, but it is a bit unfortunate, but I'm sure there's good reasons. It took a few people in the club by surprise, from what I understand. He had a very good Jersey Flegg season last year. Played a bit of cup, but he was really good in Flegg, and particularly in the finals and the grand final. I thought he was one of our best players. So good luck to Zach in his future. Moving on from that and into 2024. So this year there's been a bit of movement, especially recently. We got told today that Carl Alawapu won't play in season 2024. It's a delicate injury, that one, and he's had his surgery and he'll have to go through full rehabilitation without any contact. But wishing him the best. I think Carl's got a lot going for him, and he's very young. I think he's still 18. He might be turning 19 soon. So he's still eligible for Jersey Flegg next year. So we'll just have to wait and see how he comes back, but it's definitely not something to rush. And, he can work on his body and do a few things on his own. But he'll also be able to do a few things with the team as well, with just no contact. We'll see how he goes, and hopefully he gets back bigger and stronger in season 2025. There may be some cap dispensation for that. We'll have to wait and see. But any money that comes back into the squad is good. I don't know if it'll be the full amount that he's on, but it might be a portion of it. But he won't lose money on what he's being paid in his contract. I don't know if that means that he can be taken out of the top 30 or not, or whether that money is just spent somewhere else for the club. Jackson Tapine is the other one that has a bit of a question mark on his place in the top 30. It's pretty... it's out there now what has happened with Jackson Tapine, with the whole training fiasco last year, and he hasn't been training in the pre-season for the entire time, so can't see him playing for the Dogs probably ever again, sadly. I think he was such a precarious talent as a junior coming through. I remember watching him play SG ball, and he was captain, and he was telling the coach how they should play. I remember that day vividly. Like, he was calling all the shots, and he's a wholehearted type player, gives everything. But when I see people pay out on him on social media, they don't know the full story, and they shouldn't. But they're just going to go on, what's fed to them. I hope he's doing well, and that all gets resolved pretty quickly. We also were told last week from Gus on his Twitter, or X, that Bailey Biondiodo has been taken out of the top 30 and now has a New South Wales Cup train and trial contract, which means he can't play NRL until round 11. But he spent large portion of last year with his ACL injury and come back in the second half of the season. I don't think he was quite right. Well, not injury-wise, but just getting back into the rhythm of the game. It's taken a little bit of a toll, but hopefully after a full pre-season, and he's been named at 5'8" New South Wales Cup this week, he can get back to his best. We know that he's got some talent, and he won't have the pressure of the top 30 hanging over him either. But he'll still be getting paid his top 30 money. It's just that I think he's been taken out of the squad, and it's created another spot, which did mean that we could make a couple of signings, and we did over the last couple of weeks. Signed Zane Tedovano for 1 year. I wasn't particularly fussed, to be honest, about Zane Tedovano's signing. He hasn't played NRL for a few years now, and he had heart problems last year. Had a hole in his heart that they had to fix. So, they say that he's 100% and he's ready to go. He's been named on the bench as well in New South Wales Cup. So, hopefully everything goes well for Zane. And, I don't know Zane as well as what other people within the club know him, obviously. So, if they think that he can bring something to the squad, and the younger guys in New South Wales Cup, well then, that's a positive. I just hope that if he gets to play NRL, that he's able to match it. Time will tell, I guess. The other signing was Daniel Saluka Fafita from South. Big unit, Daniel. I've seen him play quite a few times in a New South Wales Cup, and he's a damaging runner and a big hitter. Big guy. I think that's a good signing. He's probably on the minimum. I don't know whether South are contributing to his contract, but I see upside in that signing because there's potential there, and he's young, and he won't be able to play until May. That's the only thing, because he's coming off an ACL injury, so we might not see him in the NRL until maybe later in the year, maybe off the bench, depending on how he's travelling and how the NRL team is travelling as well. But definitely next year. So that got us to the 30th player in the squad, and we also made a couple of re-signings recently. Sam Hughes was re-signed for 2 more years. Fantastic. It looks really good in pre-season, and sounds like a lot of people within the club, its teammates and on the staff, are pretty impressed with the way he's travelling, so that's really good. Also, re-signing Max King, although it's not official yet. It looks like for 3 more years. So re-signing those 2 guys in the props when we have a few front rowers off contract, it's something to build on. And with the way the market is at the moment, I feel that it was important to get those 2 tied up, and we can build on that, whether we want to re-sign some of the guys that are coming off contract also in the middle, or whether we decide to move them on and look elsewhere. Those decisions will have to be made, hopefully, not too long. We want to see those guys given, time to impress, but also we can't lose out on players if we decide to move them on. So it's a bit of a balancing act, but we'll wait and see how that plays out. But there's definitely spots there, I think, to fill up in the roster in the props area of the squad for balance. So The supplement players list hasn't changed at all since November. It's still the same 6 players. Curtis Moran, Harrison Edwards, Bailey Hayward, Joash Papali, Joey O'Neill, and Poasa Farmasili. But there has been some talk on some of the pages over the last week that Poasa has been elevated into the top 30, although the club hasn't announced that, or it's not on the NRL website either. So, without that confirmation, I've left him on the supplement list. But it doesn't stop them. Those guys in that supplement list, those 6 players, can still play for round 1, and as we can see, he's been named at prop, and Curtis Moran has been named on the bench. So that's good. I think the other players that are also on the supplement list are probably the right ones. I think all 6 of them could have a taste of NRL at some stage during the year. And there's probably a few train and trialists as well that will be able to play from round 11 onwards. And, there's a couple there in particular, I think, if they have good years in New South Wales Cup or the first half of the year, Lipboy Hotboy and Jack Todd, Eli Clark, now Bailey Biondiodo as well, could all feature at the in the back half of the season. Be in the circle of talks, I guess one way of putting it, and having a run in the NRL. I think all those guys definitely have potential. They just probably, for one reason or another, whether it be game time, and playing against older guys. But anyway, we'll have to wait and see how they're travelling later in the year. But just on that, when I look at, this is an interesting thing. When I look at the top 30 that's been signed for next year in the NRL, we've actually got 23 out of the top 30 signed. I mean, obviously, that can change, where players who are contracted next year could move on early. We've seen that. I don't think there's going to be as much as what we've seen in the past, but it can happen. But when you include 2 players that are marked down to be in the NRL top 30 from next year, Bailey Hayward, halfback hooker from New South Wales Cup, and Mitchell Woods, the young gun halfback in SG Ball, both are in their contracts. It's written that they'll be in the top 30 next year. I mean, that can change. Things can change. But that would bring us to 25. We'd only leave 5 spots left. And with, certain positions probably lacking a little bit of depth, as I've spoken about before, with, the props department and the amount of players that we've got off contract there, you'd probably focus highly on that area with so few spots left in the top 30. But we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, it is interesting. There's not a whole lot of spots, and it's probably something that the club is looking at now, and we've been looking at probably for the last 12 months, really. But whether they're going to extend players, the ones that are coming through, bringing them into the top 30, or whether they're circling players from other clubs that they're going to consider and approach. So what I might do with that is, in about 5-6 weeks, do a part 4 and just see how all those players are sort of going, the off-contract ones and the ones that are coming through in our system, but also, maybe some players that I think we should maybe target on the outside, and, just see how many spots we've got available at that point. So we'll look at that then. Plus, it'll be a good time in the year with NRL, New South Wales Cup and Jersey Flegg all kicked off and a month and a half in, or maybe closer to 2 months, we'll see. But that wraps up part 3. Thanks for listening, guys. Really appreciate it. And like and subscribe if you can. Just helps me realise what I'm doing is not for nothing. But what I might do next week is a bit of a preview or a review of the Northern Tigers in the Laurie Daly Cup, who have had a really good season. They finished on top of their pool, and they get the week off this week. The whole competition stopped, and then they have the semi-finals next week. So really hoping the boys can continue on their form. And yeah, I've watched a couple of their games up to this point, and they look really good side. Close bunch of boys, and hopefully they can continue on and do well in the finals. So have a good look at that. I'll talk to you then. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the Dogs and the Eels game. I know I am. Catch you later. Bye.
And I'm gon' shine, homie, until my heart stop. Go ahead, envy me. I'm Raps MVP, and I ain't going nowhere, so you can get to know me. Leader the love of the underdogs on top. And I'm gon' shine, homie, until my heart stop. Go ahead, envy me. I'm Raps MVP, and I ain't going nowhere, so you can get to know me.